Hey everyone, welcome back to Glenn's Garage. So today's video, we're working on the Mercedes ML here, the one we bought at auction, and we're going to be addressing the horrible condition of the paint on the hood. So let's get on with it. Alright, before we get into the video, this is probably a very good time for me to say I'm not a body man, I'm not a professional painter. I'm doing this at home in my two-car garage with minimal equipment, and I'm hoping maybe the video will give you some ideas or some confidence that you could try some small jobs, touch-ups, whatever on your car without having to invest thousands of dollars in spray guns and big compressors. So I'll show you how I do it, I'll show you the results I managed to achieve, and you can be the judge then if it's something you want to try or not. Alright, so the hood. When we bought it at auction, obviously we knew the hood was a mess. It was going to have to be repainted. I have talked to a paint specialist in town here that I know, and he's had a look at it. He has no more clue than I did on what's gone wrong with the paint here. But I don't know if you can see it. It's crazed, it's weird, it's all gone crazed on, but I don't know, not sure, it's not everywhere, like, it's not too bad over on this side, and then it's bad again, or starting on here, so, but this side is just atrocious. So, anyway, what we did, I sanded this little area down here, and I sprayed it with some automotive paint that I had kicking around, actually from BMW project, just to make sure I didn't have any kind of reaction, that it wasn't some weird paint color or paint type rather that I'd have a reaction with, and it didn't, so I just sort of wiped it off a bit there. But we're going to get on today, start getting we'll get the vents out, and there's a whole vent system underneath that's got to come out for those. I already did pop the little emblem off here. You just got to go under and pry carefully, just these two little retainer clips in here, and it just pops off. So that's already done. We got a few chips that we need to address, so let's have a look and see if we can start to get this thing apart and prep for paint. Alright, so first thing we did actually before I brought it into the garage here, wash the car down. Now I've taken these vents out, I've cleaned all in here as well, so we're not dealing with any of the dirt in there. We're going to dry sand 320 grit on the random orbital over the whole surface first, and then we're going to patch all the little imperfections, chips and stuff like that, and then we're going to go to a 600 wet sands. Alright, so dry sanding with the 320 grit and the random orbital is done. It's finished now. I've done some touch up with some spot glazing on the stone chips, and it's all sanded out, feathered out. So we're just going to go on to wet sand now. 600 grit, wet sanding, and that'll be the final sand for painting. Right, so I have the car basically ready now. I've got to do a wipe down, degrease on the hood, and then a tack down. I've masked off. I did run out of proper masking paper, so I've gone the old school route and just used some newspaper that was kicking around. But I do have the car all masked. I'm painting the hood in situ, but truth, this shouldn't be a big problem because the only things to worry about are the two vent holes there that I've masked off inside, and that they're all covered with the plastic vents. And other than that, it should be an easy thing to paint, other than perhaps trying to reach the center properly. Okay, a little bit more about the setup here. That's my little compressor. That is a 5-gallon, 3 horsepower compressor. It is patently not set up to do painting, so it does struggle a bit, but we keep it on full pressure and then we will regulate things with this little regulator here. And again, this is, I really should upgrade this to something better, but it sort of works. You can play with it. And then because this is my garage, which is attached to my house, I try and avoid as many of the smells as possible. So I actually have two fans, one either side there, and I'll crack the door open half an inch and turn those on and try and suck air out of here. I don't have the door full open for two reasons. One, it's December, and even though I'm on the west coast, it's certainly not warm by any stretch. And two, I live in a strata or condo complex, and frankly, I just don't need the grief from the neighbors. You know, in my business, what am I spraying, etc. So I'll crack it open just enough that those fans can help get stuff out. So I have a base coat that was mixed at the local auto body supply place. And I have the reducer, and then obviously you need one of these measuring cups. This is pretty basic. This is 1:1 for the base coat, and we'll start mixing that up, throw it in the gun, and then we'll mess around, check the spray pattern a little bit first and get as good as we can under these conditions. I should also point out I use a 3M respirator with the mask when I'm painting. I know on some of my videos you watch them, I may be a little lax with my PPE regarding safety glasses, etc. This is not nice stuff. You don't want to be breathing this, so I highly recommend a decent respirator. I have the mask on because I have glasses, and frankly, my glasses just get coated in paint otherwise and overspray, and I can't see anything. So. Alright, I have just finished spraying and cleaning up the gun. Left the mask on because it's pretty stinky in here still. It's going to be for a while in the garage. I've got the fans running in the background still. But overall, I think it came up pretty good. Just a second, I'll flip the camera around and I'll show you what we achieved. Okay, so that's what we got. Pretty decent finish for an inexpensive gun and a undersized compressor. Alright, so my mixing / cleaning table here after painting. Bit of a mess, but I'm going to show you the gun here that I was using. Anyone in Canada will recognize Motomaster from Canadian Tire. It's a decent gun. It's certainly not an expensive gun. This came with, there was this one and a smaller one in a kit, and I want to say it was on sale for $120 or something. So that pressure regulator is about as cheap as you can get. I really should upgrade it, but again, it works. So I just run through the settings that I was using. Your airflow, I've got that full out max, controlling it with the regulator here, so that's on max. Spray pattern, I had it the widest possible and then back about a quarter of a turn. Again, play with it accordingly. And then for the trigger, I squeeze the trigger, turn that in until you can feel the resistance. You can feel it trying to push the trigger, and then I go in maybe 1/8 of a turn more, and then lock it. And those were my basic settings. And then this I had set between 20 and 30 psi. It's because it's a small compressor, it's really hard for this to control the pressure better than that, but that's roughly where it was sitting, and it worked well. It was fairly consistent, truthfully. Alright, so we've waited a couple of days now, let the clear coat harden, the paints harden, and time now to start the wet sanding process. So the wet sanding process, or color sanding as it used to be called, is, for me, a way to get rid of all the little bits of dust and lint that have landed on that very big horizontal surface, just settled on it while the paint was wet. Just a byproduct of painting in a garage and not a booth. And also, if you have any areas of orange peel or things like that, you can correct, smooth it out. You got 2 or 3 coats of clear on here. There's enough there to sand down. So when you first start to sand the 600, I'll try and show here as best I can. I've just started over this area here. You'll start to see these will highlight shiny bits of dust and dirt and tiny little maybe fish eyes, and then you'll start to see as well the orange peel here. So it starts to show up. It's what you sanded and then what's slightly lower that you haven't sanded. So that's what you're trying to get. Okay, just finished 2000 grit sandpaper on the car here. In theory, you could polish it now. Basically anything over sort of 1500 grit you can compound out and it's going to come up pretty nice. I go the extra step. I think it makes polishing a little easier and I think it comes up a little better, but that's just my opinion. Anyway, you can start to see now a very slight shine in the clear coat. Then I'm going to move on to the 3000 grit. Again, I'm not going to video it, it's just me sanding. But I'll show you the final results and then we'll start polishing. Alright, so 3000 grit's done. As you can see, you actually start to get a bit of a shine. You can see the reflections of the lights here pretty clearly. We've got it pretty smooth now, good enough to start compounding out because it says anything over 1200 grit it'll take the scratches. So down to 3000 it should polish out beautifully. Alright, so ready to compound. This is the cutting compound or cutting cream, as it says here, that I use. Bought it from an auto body supply place near me. There's many brands and many types. They all basically work the same. The trick is going to be to keep the pad moving with enough pressure, but not too much. You don't want to be able to heat up. You don't want to start to cook the clear coat, but you don't want to skim over the top so it's not cutting and removing a very fine film of it to get the final scratches out. Here's my polishing wheel. It's got a fair bit of heft to it. You can kind of, it'll sit there with gravity and it'll do a lot of the work itself. So anyway, it's really a case of getting the feel for the right speed and the right pressure. Okay, so we've only done a small portion of this little side here, but you can see the shine we're getting. So I just finished compounding, the cutting compound on the paint there. So I'm just changing pads now. This is the one I use. It's well worn and needs cleaning now, but it's the one I use for the cutting compound. Now I'm going to do a polish. So I've got this pad, much softer, deeper ridges in it that I use for putting the polish on, and that's the polish I use. It's just a Meguiar's Ultimate Polish. It came from the auto body supply place. I've had decent results with it, so I'm going to polish it out now before I put the wax on. Alright, so just finished polishing, using the polishing compound on it here. It's white. It's a difficult color to show the finish or the shine on, and hopefully with the reflections you get an idea the kind of finish we've been able to achieve here. I hope you can see it on the video, but it's come up really, really nice. It's I don't think anyone would be able to tell that that had been done in somebody's garage. Okay, only thing left to do now, we've got it all back together. Just put the hood emblem back on. If I can do this here while I'm holding a camera. All right, hood repainted. All right, so thank you very much for watching. Appreciate you checking in on the garage here. And as always, if you enjoyed it, subscribe, a like would be awesome. I'd very much appreciate that. And I hope to see you back here soon. You all have a great day. Drive safe.